Hello. So many of you may not know this, but I haven't always been a traditionalist. I used to be a liberal existentialist, or I should say I started out as an angsty teenager. About 16, I started reading Sartre and Nietzsche, and I really had a very shallow interpretation of Nietzsche at the time. Very individualist, existentialist, liberal type of concept. And I called myself a liberal. And I'm 25 now, so over the past 9 years or so, I've gone over this transformation from liberal existentialist to libertarian to an anarcho-capitalist type thing to now I'm a traditionalist. But I think that the path that I took was necessary, in a sense, because growing up I got so many corrupt, terrible ideas about values and about morality and about society, and I was raised in a Catholic household, and I did get some like pagan influence from my grandmother and my mom from my Norwegian side of the family, but the Irish, German side of my family from my dad's side, very hardcore Catholic. So I think I needed the liberal existentialism to sort of, like maggots, cleaning out infected tissue. I needed it to remove the corruption and allow for new growth to occur, for new ideas to occur. And so I don't regret or begrudge myself for going through that phase, but you know, you have to get rid of the maggots after it eats all the infected tissue. You don't hold on to this negating philosophy, because individualism and existentialism and liberalism, those are philosophies of negation. They're philosophies of no. They don't propose or construct any of its own positive aspects. It's all rejecting and saying no to the values that are traditional and established in the world. So I think it was necessary for me to give that no, to respond to culture the way it stands today with that resounding no when I was 16, 17, and then to, after clearing away the infected tissue, so to speak, to then build something new upon it. And that was very difficult for me for a while. I felt very lost for a while, but then I realized there's really nothing new under the sun. And if I want to understand myself, I must understand my history and my people, my culture, and the heritage that comes with it. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years, and I've arrived at this very traditionalist position now. And so with that all said, that preamble given, I wanted to read to you this essay that I wrote last year, called My Journey from Liberal-Egalitarian to Traditional Exceptionalist. I began as a liberal existentialist. The first philosophical book I ever read was The Stranger by Camus, and that sent me on a hunt for more information about existentialism. Soon, coming dangerously close to nihilism, I realized that meaning and value do not have their origins anywhere external to human beings, that it is all invention, artifice. Only later, and with the help of Friedrich Nietzsche, did I come to understand it as an art, as a life expression. And I learned to wholly affirm it. But for a while I was troubled. What was the meaning of my life? Where does my identity come from as an individual? It comes from what I do and what I accomplish, of course, but what is it exactly that I wanted to accomplish? Most of the people around me seemed to think that the motivation for accomplishing anything was to do something you enjoy, and then to attain financial stability and independence by doing that thing you enjoy, and then to end up with a good job, a house, a nice car, etc. Hobbies were always emphasized too. Find something you enjoy was the ever-present mantra. Happy fun times, good feelings were their credo. And this was then to be universalized for everyone. I came to a type of pseudo-Kantian universalist perspective where an act could only be good if it could be applied to everyone at all times without contradiction. It was a meek mashup of inherent egalitarianism and the universalist principle. But this didn't sit right for me. Fun and happiness are good, but is that all that life's about? And does everyone really deserve to be treated the same way and be expected to abide by the same principles? There must be a higher purpose, that's more meaningful than my own personal feelings, I thought. Of all the greatest people in the world throughout all of history, had a vision which they thrust upon the world in an aggressive fashion. The people I respected and honored most throughout history: Alexander the Great, Julius and Augustus Caesar, Charlemagne, Alfred the Great, Ragnar Lothbrok, Napoleon, and even some mythical heroes such as Odysseus, Achilles, Beowulf, Sigurd, and so many more, were righteously aggressive and saw only strength, cunning, wisdom, skill, and beauty to be the highest virtues in life. The world is better off now after being reigned over by those noble heroes. And all the while these thoughts brewed, I continued to study all I could about philosophy and history, and I was pulled by the power and glory of those great heroes in the direction of my ancestors, toward myth and legend. I wanted to know the culture of my forebears, to know how they thought, and how they defined the meaning of life. For a long while, I resisted their siren song, but after years of inner conflict between the modern, pitiful egalitarianism that I accepted as a child, and this historically timeless perspective of affirming all which vitalizes life, I had acquired through careful study as an adult, and I finally broke free of the modern voice within me. I now believe that life is more meaningful with the strong unity that traditional culture brings, and that individuality is overrated. I now see the wisdom in many of the traditions and values of the ancient Germanic and Celtic cultures of Europe, my ancestors, and I wished to define myself in relation to them and their gods. Being a part of an age-old process and passing that down to your children is a form of immortality. My grandparents and parents live on in me, and their grandparents and parents live on in them, and so on and so forth, as far back as time itself. And that is how it will continue with my children going forward. Culture and tradition make men immortal. Despite how it may appear to a staunch individualist, doing this does not restrict my freedom or sense of individual identity. I'm still a rational existentialist, and I understand that in rational, objective terms, values are subjective, and we create our own meaning in life. But in subjective terms, the values and traditions that I uphold are holy, and I am willing to die for them. This is my choice because I choose to affirm the instincts and traditions that were passed by blood for thousands of years, rather than some universalist reason-based woo-woo which pretends that pure reason is the proper standard in the valuation of values. Thank you for watching.